Mr. Fly here, hope you're well. Out and about today on my beautiful 899 Panigale, which I bought back in July 2015, brand new then. So I've had the bike for just about 4 years, so I thought it's high time I gave you an update, a long-term owner's guide on the 899 Panigale. Stick around and stay tuned. Okay, so firstly, bit of a confession to make. I checked my records and I actually bought this bike on the 7th of December 2015. So really, this isn't really a 4-year owner's review. It's more of a 3.5-year owner's review, but it just didn't sound so good. But anyway, there we go. So a bit of a disclaimer to start with. So what I want to do in this video is give you a bit of an idea of the things that I've done on this bike over the last year. I've made 1 or 2 mods, and also the money I've spent on it and the things I've done on the bike. These 899s are getting a little bit rarer these days. In fact, I did a check on the internet, and in fact there are now 672 of these on the road, or at least there were 672 of these on the road in 2018, and they're going down by about 100 a year, it turns out. But of course, the 959 is sort of a, if you like, is a Euro 4 friendly version of this bike. So many of the things I'm going to talk about would apply to the 959 as well. So if you're interested in this bike, stick around and stay tuned. So how much have I ridden the Ducati Panigale this year? Well, I'm ashamed to say not an awful lot. Now I checked my servicing records, and of course on your service records they do note the mileages on the bike, and over the last year between services I've ridden a paltry 500 miles exactly. Bit spooky that it's 500 exactly, but 500 miles is all I've done on the bike, and all those miles have been, again I regret to say, local blats, local B roads, all in dry weather. I haven't done any long tours on the bike. I haven't done any super interesting stuff. It's just been, you know, sunny day, out for a ride and enjoy the bike. So in total now on the bike I've done, let me just check the total mileage. I made a note here. It is 3,676 miles since I've owned her. So you know, really must do better I think in future years on that. I intend to do a bit of touring on the bike this year, never got around to doing that. Maybe next year I'll get to do that. Anyway, so yeah, not getting ridden as much as I'd like. Okay, so to the modifications I've done on the bike then over the last year. I suppose the most significant one is replacing the OEM Pirelli tyres with another set of Pirelli tyres. These, what I've got on here, these bad boys, are Pirelli Rosso Corsa 2s. They're a bit more sticky than the original tyres that are on here. I put these on, by the way, at 3,512 miles, so that's how long the original tyres lasted. These I don't expect to last quite as long, because these are more of a racing oriented tyre, which is a bit daft for me really, because I'm only a road rider. But for me, stickiness and grip is the most important thing. So I don't expect these to last anywhere near the 3,500 miles that the last set did, but they are good for the sort of riding I'm doing on sunny days. I haven't yet had the chance to ride them in the wet, so I can't give you a full report on them. Maybe I'll do that in the next long-term owner's review, assuming I've still got these on here. I've only done another 500 miles, and I hope I will have them on here. As you can see, though, I've not really had a good chance to test them too much yet. They feel great in the dry, but I've still got massive chicken strips to get rid of, yeah, I do need to ride them a bit more to give a full review. But so far, so good on the Pirelli Rosso Corsa 2s. Really like those. So that was the first mod I did. Next thing that I did was I had some R&G crash protection fitted, notably things like these aero crash protectors. Now these are a lovely bit of kit, but they in fact attach onto the engine mount. So I didn't fit these myself. I actually got Nigel at MotorTune to fit these for me, because, you know, once you start messing with engine mounts and stuff, I think that's best left to the experts. So I let him fit those. Hopefully, these are one of those things that you're never going to test, are they? But, you know, I love this bike. It's my garage queen. I want to keep it in tip-top condition. So anything I can do to protect it, I'll do it. So that's the aero protectors. Next thing that I did put on, and I made a video, I'll put a little link up here somewhere, are the engine case protectors, carbon either side, again from R&G. I think they look good. And again, if you did have a drop, they would just protect the bottom of the engines from anything. And then the other mod, again, something I did, again, that I've got a video on, I'll put a link up here, is the radiator guard here, again from R&G. I think it looks great, and it just tidies up the front of the bike, and it does indeed protect your radiator. If you get any crud flying up off this front wheel, you know, that radiator is right in the firing line there, so that was another good mod that I did. The only other mods that I did this year was I put back on the original brake and clutch levers on here, just for better brake feel. I was feeling that the brakes were feeling a little bit spongy. I got Nigel when it got serviced just to bleed them and sort the brakes out in that respect, so they're mechanically sound and there's no wear or anything like that significant. But the brakes that I had on here just moved around a bit and just didn't give great feel. And the original brake levers and clutch lever indeed are Brembo items, so they're, you know, they're nicely made bits of kit. They might not look blingy, but they do work well, and I'm glad I've had those put back on there. So that's it for the mods this year. Have I got any mods planned for next year? Well, to be honest, not really. I mean, the bike, you know, I like bikes that, of course, you like to make them your own. I've got little bits of subtle carbon and stuff on here, but I don't like them over blinged. And this bike now has got everything that I want on the bike. It's absolutely beautiful, I think, and I've no plans to change it further in the next year. So another question I get asked from time to time is, what is my favourite modification on the 899? And there's no doubt about this. The favourite modification I've got here is one that's hidden, actually, just in terms of its practicalness. This was a great mod. It transformed the way the bike works. And that is the throttle spacer that I fitted inside this throttle housing here. You can see, look, if I try and move that, there's absolutely no play in this throttle. When you wind that on, the bike actually goes now. When you buy the bike originally, there's a little bit, about 3mm play, and it's just enough to give you the jitters when you're trying to pull away smoothly on the bike. So there's a company called Panigale Spacers that makes a little plastic bit that fits in there. And by the way, they also make the spacers now for certain of the new Triumphs as well, things like the Street Twin, the Tiger 800, the Tiger 1200 and others, details on their website. And it does the same thing. They've got the same throttle, it turns out, and it takes out any slack that you've got in there. It really does transform the way the bike handles. I'm not intending this to be an advert, but if you've got one of those Triumphs or you've got a Panigale and it's got a bit of that slack in there, do that mod. It's only about $30 or something. Oh, and by the way, I'll put a link below to Panigale Spacers. In fact, I think their website's called ducatispacers.com. In fact, let me just check the details. It's called panigalespacers.com is the website you want to go to. And if you use the code, in fact, Missenden SK, you'll get 10% off the spacer kit as well. So let them know that I sent you and you'll get 10% off. But that is a fantastic modification and definitely the best one. In terms of the best fun mod, then I think that has to be the Terminioni pipes, just because once you get this over 7,000 RPM, the thing absolutely barks alive and it sounds amazing. So love the way the Termis look and I love the way they sound. All right, I said I'd give you what the running costs were this year on the bike. So let me tell you a bit about the cost of ownership, at least in my case, for the 899 this year. So overall cost then, the tax, road tax of this bike, £92.40 I've paid. That is a little bit more than if you pay one hit, because I pay by monthly direct debit. The reason I do that is because if I did ever come to sell the bike, and I do all my bikes and cars in the same way, you then can just stop your direct debit and you don't pay any more tax money on that. If you pay with a one-off payment at, say, any point in the year, you know, at any point in the year, then if you then sell the bike, you lose the tax on it. It's not like in the old days when you would be able to pass on the tax and say, I'm selling this to you with 6 months tax left. You'd have no tax. The new person would have to buy more tax. So you've in effect lost half of your tax money. So hope you follow there. I've made a bit of a pig's ear of describing that, but that's why I do all my vehicles on monthly direct debits. Anyway, £92.40 that cost me for this bike, tax. Insurance-wise, now difficult this because I've got all my bikes on a multi-bike policy, but this one definitely takes up the lion's share of my multi-bike policy. My overall policy, by the way, cost me £235.50 from Principal Insurance. So let's say this is £135 of that is my best estimate. Now I know that sounds incredibly cheap. This is the only benefit of getting older. I've got loads of no claims bonus, and you know, I live in a relatively nice place. You know, my profile is such that my insurance is cheap. So the one good thing about getting older, as far as I'm concerned, so £135 for the insurance. Servicing wise, went to my mate Nigel at Motor Tune for the servicing on this because it's outside of warranty now. There's no need to go to a dealer anymore. And he charged me £168.95 for the service, including all the consumables. Last time before that, when I went to the local Ducati dealer, it was more than £100 more than that. So £168.95 for the servicing. MOT has to have that now because it's over 3 years old. £26.95. Again, that was via Nigel up at Motor Tune in Chesham. Tracker subscription, I got the expensive bike track tracker on here, £99 for the year on that. So if you add all that up for sort of total cost of ownership, so excluding the consumables and depreciation, adding up all those figures that I just gave you comes to £522.30 a year or £43.52 a month. Now, I reckon that's a bargain. The last time I did this calculation last year, it came to £55.91 a month, so it's about £8 less than that, and then the year before that it was 87. So it goes down each year, I guess, as the bike gets older. But I've done a number of these cost of ownership calculations, as you know, from my in-depth bike reviews of all the bikes that I've reviewed, and 43.52 is one of the cheaper ones. So again, mainly probably because of the good insurance. Once you get older, you can start to afford these nice bikes, and they're not stupidly expensive, I don't think. Okay, so I guess the key question is then, am I going to keep the Panigale 899? And the answer to that is an emphatic yes. I absolutely love having this bike in the garage, even though I don't ride it very much, and I do intend to make better use of it if I can over the next months and years. But I just love having the thing in the garage. It's a pride of ownership thing. It is a bit of a garage queen. I don't ride it in bad weather. I do, you know, no expenses spared on keeping it in tip-top condition. I just love looking at the bike in the man cave. I love riding it on the few occasions that I do. And yes, I very much am going to keep her while I can. So there we go. Hopefully you'll see me again doing another long-term review in the future. So there we have it. That's my 4-year ownership update on the 899 Panigale. As you can tell, I absolutely love the bike. It's an absolute beast, a pleasure to own, and I fully expect to be bringing you an 8-year update in 2023. So I hope that was of some interest to you. I don't just do bike reviews on the Listen and Fly, but I do trips and tours, how-tos, bits and pieces in the garage, bike news, basically anything and everything to do with motorcycles. I try and cover it here on the Listen and Fly. If you've not done so already, it'd be great to have you subscribe, and that way I can see you in the next video. Well, I hope that was of interest. Look forward to speaking to you again soon. Until then, this has been the Listen and Fly. Cheerio. Oh, just as a final ad, you may notice this video looks a bit different to usual, and that's because I've videoed the whole thing here in my garage on my GoPro. Don't usually do that, usually use a DSLR, but it's a lot easier using the GoPro. Wonder what you thought of it. What's the quality like? How's it come out? Be interested in your thoughts. Cheers.